This commenter is asking about what guidance I would give to pet parents who can't figure out what need is being expressed by their dog's demand barking. And this comment was left on a video where we're talking about the concept of demand barking and reframing it essentially as support seeking and talking through how to respond to that behavior. And in short, we want to respond in a way that doesn't necessarily reinforce the barking as a method of communication if it's aversive to us. Otherwise, it's not necessarily a problem. But without leaving our dog feeling ignored, while remaining emotionally attuned to our dog, and while satiating the underlying need of what they're trying to communicate before we jump to trying to change how they communicate. And so the question of what do we do if we don't know what they're trying to communicate is one that I do commonly run into with my clients who struggle with chronic dysregulation. These are dogs whose stress levels are set as a baseline higher than ideal. A lot of times they struggle with behavioral flexibility, so barking may be the only tool they have in their toolkit to communicate. And they may become higher on the stress scale faster than typical dogs. And so we might see that frustration or increased franticness in trying to communicate. And then there's the added layer of trying to communicate a need and not being understood, which in itself can be anxiety-inducing or frustrating. And then, of course, it's also anxiety-inducing and frustrating for us as well because we don't know what our dog needs. So often I'll have clients say, we've tried all of the things, kind of like you do with a human baby. We've tried comforting them, we've tried playing with them, we've tried taking them outside, we've tried seeing if they want to go potty, and we don't know what it is that they want. And figuring that out is part of the work. One thing that really helps is our first pillar of behavior therapy, which is holistic stress reduction. So by taking a holistic look at how the dog experiences stress and putting management around that so that we can get those stress levels considerably down, often has a marked impact on this behavior. Often it prevents the dog from getting so trigger stacked in the first place. And another thing that can help with this, of course, is behavior medication. It has a lot of the same goals as behavior therapy. And so we get those baseline stress levels down lower. We prevent some of that trigger stacking, and the dog is lower on the stress scale where they're able to communicate in a way that sometimes in that way is more clear to us. Another thing that we might consider in the moment related to this is the arousal just really high? Can I offer my dog an activity that will help them engage in a species typical behavior that lowers their arousal on a physiological level, like a snuffle mat and a licky mat, things like that, giving them a chew. Sniffing, licking, and chewing are sort of the calming trifecta. Now, what's important to look for isn't, does this activity completely stop the behavior? We're looking for approximations. Does engaging in that activity buy me at least a few more minutes before they start to ramp up again? Do I see behaviors and body language that are sitting even a little lower on the stress scale afterwards? If so, that might be an area that I want to continue to work on helping my dog come down through that moment. It can also be really helpful, of course, to look at the context of this behavior. Is it more likely to occur in the evening? Is it more likely to occur when they're hungry? Is it more likely to occur when they've had known trigger stacking? Sometimes that can give us clues into what is contributing to reaching this point where the dog is communicating in this way. And sometimes in that way, we're able to just put management directly around that item. So we go, oh, my dog is engaging in this behavior when we start cooking in the kitchen. And so I can feed my dog through a calming activity in another space and avoid that interaction entirely. Another way of putting this is that sometimes when we don't know what the specific need is, the need is help calming down. And that can be from trigger stacking. It can be from feeling pain in the body. It can be from frustration or over-arousal related to some secondary need. And then as sort of a side tangent, a side quest, we can, as I discussed in the other video, ensure that our dog does have ways to communicate sort of the basics or the things that we know they might ask for. And that can help take a lot of the mystery out as well. So in other words, the approach is often layered. It's often not just one thing, but a collection of things that helps us gather more data and sort of whittle down what is happening while empowering the dog through increasing communication, which therefore increases agency, which impacts resilience to stress.